player that said that there's more to read in a bunker than there is on a green. So here's what he's talking about. There's different types of sand and obviously different types of condition and environment. If we get sand like this is very fine and grainy sand here, very easy to catch it heavy. So as the club comes in, super easy for it to dig. Now it's been super dry here. It's got to be mid 30s here today. So you get this really fine. Now if we got a day where it was cold and wet, the sand would basically compact. Now they're very, very different setups required. Now I want to use as much bounce as I can in the shot here. So for me, I'm going to set up, handle's actually going to be almost a little bit back, club face is going to be open, and what that's going to do is it's going to allow it to enter the sand and exit the sand with a nice shallow divot. If I were to keep it square, what would happen is this club would literally dig. It would dig totally into the sand and it would make it very hard. So different environments. So what I'm going to do, I'll brush off all of the sand. And you've had it before. I know you've had it when you're out in the course and you've said you've hit it and it just goes forever. That's when you get this hard packed sand. Now there's a couple of keys here. Setup is probably one of the biggest. This part of your club, the leading edge here, right down in the corner. It's almost like you're trying to shank it. I probably shouldn't say that word, but it's almost like you're trying to shank it right down in the hosel there. So I'm going to get my hands lower and I'm going to try to get the entry of this club to come in there. And what's going to happen is that club will dig out nicely. So where you would usually thin it and it would go too far, handle's going to be super low here. And I'm going to use that leading edge. It just gets down, picks it out nice and soft. If I were to try that there on the soft sand, I don't even think I'd get it out of the bunker. So this is a great way to do it. Now you can play, if you don't feel comfortable with it, you can play just a square face from hard packed sand, or there's no sand in it, or like a gravelly lie, you know. The only thing you'll have to be aware of with this shot is it will come out kind of fast. So you want to hit it probably just a little bit easy so it doesn't go too far for you. But those are the keys to think about whenever you've got sand. Is the sand fluffy, somewhere in between, or hard packed? It'll require different setups and different techniques for those shots. People are going to be interested in the high shot. Everybody can kind of bump it out pretty low, but let's do both of them anyway. So the high shot requires us to obviously produce as much loft into this ball as possible. Now, you can do it a couple of different ways. I really like kind of one of the ways Tiger was actually talking about it, where he was talking about finishing kind of low and around, but the angle that the club is coming in is kind of shallow here. So it's coming more from the inside and adding lots of loft on the way through and finishing sort of at a neutral finish position. So what he's talking about, he's probably doing it a bit more with speed as well. So obviously he's coming more from the inside here, throwing the right hand a little bit here just to give it that little bit extra height. Hands at address or a little bit back. You get that nice high shot there. But you can see my finish position is actually quite low. Where contrary to what a lot of people might tell you is that, you have to have a high finish to have a high bunker shot. And you can see that one there. That was beautiful up in the air. But if that's not for you, you can definitely go with just making sure that you're finishing high. But the one thing, that club face has to stay open. So if we're playing the high shot, we've got to make sure that our hands are high, and obviously we're using a lot of speed. Both work really well. I prefer, not that it's hard not to prefer what Tiger does usually, but I do prefer that sort of inside and just holding the club face up, because you definitely can see, I'll try and demonstrate it again here, that inside direction here, letting that club release and sort of swing by me and just finishing into this